G'day and welcome to this week's episode of Ask Leah. This week's question is about toxic positivity. Specifically, what is toxic positivity and why is it a problem? This person reached out to me and they said, Leah, I heard this term toxic positivity and I'm a bit confused because I thought positivity and optimism is what we were aiming for. And of course, positivity and optimism are great things. We want to retain our hope that things will turn out well. We want to be optimistic and look for the good in situations to retain that gratitude and positive outlook at the world. It's really important at the moment when times are tough. But when does it become toxic? It becomes toxic when we don't allow ourselves to acknowledge the hard parts of our situation, or we suppress those what are referred to as negative emotions. Now, here's the thing. There are no bad emotions. Emotions are data about what is going on for our body and our brain. And we have to allow ourselves to feel. In fact, the way to move through those harder emotions is to sit in them, process them, and come out the other side. When we suppress them, when we say, no, I'm just meant to be happy, I'm meant to be positive, don't let myself feel angry, don't let myself feel grief, even if it's an extreme situation. Someone might have died in our life who we were close to. And instead of letting us sit in the sadness, we jump straight to, well, we were lucky to have them in our lives and they're in a better place now. These platitudes that deny the human experience and the really real feelings that we're going through at the time. When we squash those down, they don't just disappear. This is actually a recipe for developing more serious mental health issues down the track, for becoming potentially unwell, for having big explosions of anger when we deny ourselves the opportunity to sit with and feel these hard emotions. The other problem with toxic positivity, when we stick our head in the sand and say, everything will be okay, it'll all be fine, it's all good, is we deny the brutal facts of our current reality. And that means that we don't plan for challenging situations in the workplace or our personal lives. Let me give you an example of this. I was working with a team in the health services industry. Shout out to the crew in the Gippsland Lakes Complete Health Step Unit just last week. And we were talking about the concept of the Stockdale paradox, that at times of pressure or times of challenge, we need to retain our optimism, but we also need to have realism. We need to know we're going to be okay and be hopeful, but balance that with the facts of our brutal reality. And one of the leaders in that unit said to me, coming up to Christmas, we get an increase in referrals and we have less staff because they're on leave. It happens almost every year. We know it's coming. And that was a great example to use to discuss the Stockdale paradox, to say, okay, we know this is likely to happen. So rather than just go, she'll be right, everything will be hunky-dory, let's face up to that. You will be okay. We're retaining that optimism, but this is going to be a challenge. How are we going to handle it? What do we need to prioritize? What do we need to say yes and no to? That is living the Stockdale paradox. But if we are being toxically positive, we don't do that. We deny there's even a problem. We don't acknowledge the hard stuff, and then it blindsides us. Part of being human is being able to feel all of the emotions, but a lot of us have been taught to suppress them. Toxic positivity denies our right to have those hard emotions. Now, I'm not advocating for us all to sit in the shit, to be negative and sad and victim mindset all the time, because that is definitely not where we want to be either. But nor do we just want to be in a toxically positive environment. You will feel like your experience is being diminished, dismissed, and that people aren't really seeing and hearing the challenges you face. I hope that clears it up. Toxic positivity is not what we're aiming for, but positivity and optimism, awesome. If you have a communication, leadership, people skill question, emotional intelligence question you'd like answered, send it through and I'll do my best to answer it for you next week. Cheers.